The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
My name is Jasmine, and I am a recovering drug addict.
My name is Richie Farrell, a.k.a. the Old White Junkie.
And we are your hosts for Exit Team Nashua.
Our mission is to bring recovery into the living room.
Last year, over 72,000 Americans died of an accidental overdose.
That's almost 200 Americans every single day.
We will bring you guests with real-life experiences with addiction and recovery. Welcome to Exit Team Nashua.
Welcome everybody to Exit Team Nashua. My name's Jessie. Tonight we have in the studio the lovely Cole. Thanks for coming, Cole.
Thank you for asking me. That's
yes.
for sure.
Cole is my soul sister, so we are just getting reacquainted. It's so good to see you.
You too. Absolutely.
When I see you, I feel at home. So
Amen.
yes.
Amen.
So, I've invited you here because I know you're a strong advocate in recovery and you do a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell the viewers a little bit about your story, what you do, and how'd you get involved in recovery?
Sure. So thank you for having me.
Yeah.
And I love how we met.
Great
it was
story.
At a woman's meeting.
Yep.
And it was all about the hair, So we are curly girls and soul sisters. And thank you for giving me the honor to be here tonight. So, I got into recovery. I was blessed to get in recovery at a young age. I can't imagine what it would be like right now to get into recovery during the middle of a pandemic. When there was no meetings where we could meet and everything, because meetings really saved my life. But
I know, I can't imagine.
Yeah, I was like, can you imagine being on a computer and like talking to people? I'm
Never.
Like, no.
Mm-mm.
And what's sad about it is this is a disease of isolation. So throw in COVID and we're all isolating. So the numbers went up like 30% in regards to overdoses and relapses and 19% for suicide since COVID. So it's just definitely a sad time for everyone. And I'm just blessed to be solid in my recovery.
Yeah.
I definitely was challenged mentally with depression and dealing with my own, I need to work my program. As I was just telling you, like I use neurofeedback for my aid, and I'm blessed that they finally opened so I could start getting my treatment, because like depression was killing me and bringing me to those dark places where I hate. So being solid in recovery.
So I just want to, I want you to tell everyone what neurofeedback is, because it was something that was a huge turning point for me in my recovery as well.
Yes.
And I just know that how beneficial it can be, and people don't know about it.
It's one of the most amazing treatments. I didn't want to go on medication, and I'm not speaking against it. I'm not for it against it. If people need it, absolutely support it. But for myself, I did not want to have to take medication for depression. And I heard about neurofeedback and this gentleman, Ray McGarty, out of Dover, New Hampshire, who I've known for many years. So I just did some research, and a lot of athletes use it like before their games and everything, because it really wakes up the part of the brain. So in depression, like when my dopamine and everything's like low and not going down, I go once a week and I get wires put on my head and I'm watching TV. And as I'm watching TV, these sounds are coming at me, and these sounds are impacting my wave, the way that the brain wave is being ran, to try and create a new pattern to get me out of being depressed into a happier state. Kind of like the states that I would chase with my drug addiction and alcoholism, So my very first session with him, I came out and I was like, woo! And he's like, whoa, I think I might have did this a little too long. And you're like, yes. I'm like, can I come back tomorrow? And he's like, yeah, no, it's a week. You can come back next week. So, but it really had such an amazing impact on me where, I started to go, while I was doing it, it was once a week for me for a couple of months. And then I was able to wean off once every other week until it was once a month. And then during the summer seasons, I don't need it. And then come October, I start again. But so it really changed my life. It changed my recovery.
So you've been doing it for a while.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
How many years do you think?
I would say I'm in my second or third year.
Okay.
But during COVID, there was nothing.
Right.
Mr. Ray wasn't doing it because he wasn't vaccinated. He's a high risk person. And then there was a waiting list to get in. And I finally sent a text, and I was like 911. And he made an appointment with me immediately for his assistant because he knows my history. And I was at a point where 911 means like, I'm not making
help.
it. Like, this is way too much for me, because the depression really did a number to me, and I'm sure countless others. Like, I'm not the only one on this boat.
Yeah.
And I was just so blessed to be able to get in. And I think I'm on like my 5th or 6th session right now. And I really feel good. I think last week was kind of like a really big turning point with me at my session, because I really felt like I was staying happier longer and everything. A few weeks ago, though, I was a little manic, so I was like, I might have had a little too much fun on that.
And a little bit just that I've learned about it too is that like children with like attention problems or autism, also borderline personality disorder,
life-changing.
Because like with borderline personality disorder, there's a gap between the emotional and the rational mind, and it helps bridge that gap.
Yes.
So, you know, for me, it was a game changer too. And like just hearing you talk about it, it's like, you know, God sent you here today because like I need to go back.
Amen. Yes.
And it's a miracle treatment. It really is.
It really is. And what I love is Ray McGarty is the best of the best. He's the one who trains people how to do it.
Yeah.
So like, I love that I go to the top gun, you know, and it really changed my life. And I've also sent him many referrals for men and women who don't want to be on medication. Again, I'm not knocking medication. I just don't want medication in my system unless I have to.
Right.
If I got to that point where I actually had to, I was taking medication while he was doing the neurofeedback, and then he started to wean me off because my depression went that deep. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you're back on track.
Thank you. Me too. So isn't my husband. He's like, uh-oh. So that's part of my recovery. But again, I was blessed to get sober October 16th, 1987 at the age of 20. I was always, didn't feel like I fit in. However, you would never know, because I was very outgoing, gregarious, risk-taking. And like my first drink of alcohol was vanilla at the age of 7. And I didn't sit there and say, oh, I'm going to have a cocktail. Let's pour me some vanilla. It was my grandmother was cooking. I took a swig and I was like, wow, I like that. And I drank the bottle.
Wow.
And then I started running in circles in the kitchen and diving into the refrigerator. And my mother's like, all right, no more vanilla.
Right.
So like, no more vanilla. And then at a young age, I had this addicted brain because my mom shops on Thursdays. So from that day, that Saturday to Thursday, I'm like, wonder if mom's buying vanilla. Wonder if she's buying
When you were 7 years old.
I was obsessively thinking over vanilla because I liked the effects and I liked the taste. So mom comes home from grocery shopping on Thursday. I'm rifling through the bags like, oh, I'm going to help you. And she's like, you know, who are you? Like, you never even would like make your bed. Never mind, come out and help with groceries. And I remember being so disappointed that there was like no vanilla. And then I equate that years down the road of like, I'm looking for my drugs or my booze.
Yeah.
And there's none left. And that feeling of what,
Panic.
yeah, what do I do now? So I think my personality definitely was a little on the crazy side in regards to the vanilla and then where it leads me. And then by 12, I'm drinking alcohol and drinking booze. And then from 12 to 16, I was a real fun drunk, like really funny. And then at 16, like you, I lost my boyfriend, and that forever changed my life. I was beyond devastated. I had no coping mechanisms. I felt guilty that he died, and he died of a heart illness, which took his life, had nothing to do with, it had nothing to do with drugs or alcohol. He was an amazing athlete. He was a football player. He was a BMX rider. He was basketball. Like, he was going far in life. And it was just a heart disease that went undetected, and then it was too late. He ended up needing a heart transplant, and he didn't make it through it. So when he died, I just totally shut down emotionally, mentally, physically. And I drank and I drank and I drank. And then from all that drinking, it took me to dark places of suicide attempts. I don't want to be here. I need to be with him. I don't deserve to be here, you know, because I'm such a bad person. And those were all the lies that this disease tells me, you know. So his death was like the worst thing I ever went through. But I also know if I didn't go through that, I wouldn't be who I am today.
Right.
So I've gone full circle with, you know, my healing over his death. And I keep his name alive. Like I talk about him. I became a CPR instructor. So I've always did something to do with the Heart Association in his memory. And
What was his name?
Roger Allen Rosemarino. Yes, he was very, very handsome young man, and he loved me like no other. He would ride his bike, you know, over in the middle of the night if I was sad or something, and just hang out with me. And yeah, he was very well known and a very great individual, and he's definitely missed. But I also know he's my angel.
Yeah.
Like I have an angel, and I'm blessed that I've stayed close with his family my entire life. Like his sister is my sister, and I'm on the phone with her weekly, and we're together with each other. So it's been an amazing journey. But his death really kicked me into full-blown alcoholism at a young age. Like I crossed that line. They'll talk about the invisible line of having fun into I need it to survive. I need this to be.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how to live without it. And
Right. So it jump-started that for you.
Totally jump-started it, you know. And then, you know, throughout my story, you know, I have some arrests. I have stupid things that I swore I'd never do. Like I was only going to do alcohol. I'll never do drugs because if that's totally, like that's a bad person, you know.
Right.
And here I am, 17, with the straw up my nose. And I fell in love with that. Yeah. So that kind of went hand in hand with me for quite some time until I finally got sober. And why I got sober, like I just remember Christmas Eve, 1986, being so screwed up and going to my family's Christmas party. And our house was like the house to be at. Like everyone came out of the woodwork to come to our house. People that we wouldn't see for the years would just show up. Every Christmas Eve, it was an open house. And I remember just being so screwed up. And like, I go into the bathroom and the mirrors used to slide. And I pop the mirror off of the slider and I leave the bathroom with it and I go upstairs. Like I didn't think anyone was going to see. There's no mirror. You can see aspirin, deodorant, like not even thinking. And then all of a sudden I heard something, which I know today was God, say, if you don't stop, you're going to die. And I was like, what was that? And I heard, if you do not stop, you are going to die. And I said, well, amen, because I want to die, so I will not stop. And then shortly after that, some other situations happened that really brought me down to a dark place. But I kept on hearing, if I don't stop, I'm going to die. And Memorial Day weekend, 1987, my mom, she was like, I need you home this weekend. We need help. And by now I've stayed back every year in high school. I had to go to summer school every summer to make it into the next grade, which a lot of my classmates didn't know about.
Right.
I didn't graduate from high school. I got a blank diploma with my group. And I had said to the principal, he's like, you're not showing up. And I'm like, well, can't you just pass me? And I even lied and said, for gym, because I never went, I said, I had a bone marrow transplant. And the gym teacher was like, what?
Yeah.
You know, like, this is how sick the thinking is. And so when I was told, like, I got kicked off as cheerleading, and my life goal was to be a New England Patriot cheerleader. Like, that's what my focus was. But drinking and drugs just wiped that off. I was kicked off of cheerleading. And I remembered that breaking my mother's heart. Like, how could you? Right. How could you show up under the condition where you're drunk and you're smoking a cigarette? Like, don't you have any respect for the other teammates and everything? So fast forward to senior year, and he tells me I'm not graduating. I'm like, Mr. Nick, if you don't let me march, I will commit suicide the day of. And he had known of my attempts previous to, because he knew Roger, and Roger's dad was a teacher as well. So he took me serious. And he's like, by all means, honey, you can march. And I said, thank you. So I don't tell my family that I'm getting a blank diploma. And I'm the last of the Mohegans. I'm number 6 of the kids.
Yeah.
So my parents are having this big party. And
Oh, they think you're graduating.
they think I'm, because I don't tell anyone. They'll never know. You know, this
Right.
is
The thinking,
my thinking of, they'll never find out. So I come to go to graduation, annihilated. Go back to my house. All my relatives are there for a graduation party. And out of the blue, my grandmother says, can you open your diploma? I want to take a picture of it. And I was like, and I remember praying, please have a diploma there, please. And I open it and it's blank. And you could hear a pin drop. My mother starts crying, and that look of disgust again. Wow. So she's handing back presents to everyone. She's like, you're not getting anything. You didn't graduate. And
oh my God.
And
what a story.
Yeah, it was pretty sad.
Yeah.
You know? So then from there, my drinking again and drugging goes to a whole nother level because of the guilt, shame, and remorse that I have with that.
Yeah.
And I go live on Park Street, Lawrence for a few years. And then in a relationship that was tough, loved him, but we were toxic with each other.
Yeah.
And then I came home Memorial Day weekend, and my mom says, you know, like, I really need you to help around the house. We're having a party this weekend. And I'm like, you can count on me. And she was like, oh, good. And I was like, okay. So I'm just going to go out tonight. I'll be home in a little bit. And I left on Friday night, and I showed up Monday in the same outfit I left on Friday night. And that look again of disgust, that look was just like the look that finally broke my heart. And she hit my heart with those eyes. And I said, Mom, something's the matter with me. I can't stop drinking and drugging. And from there, the next day I was brought to my doctor because she didn't know what to do. And she's like, do I send her to France? Like, does she need a vacation? And my doctor's like,
France?
No, she actually needs a detox. And I was like, okay. And I knew nothing. I'm 20 years old. What do I know what a detox is, you know?
Right.
And I was sent away to Salem, Massachusetts to a 30-day treatment center at their facility.
Yeah.
I learned about a disease called alcoholism. I learned a lot about my personality there and did a 6-week aftercare program. And then was thrown into like a 12-step program when I got out. And I know I'm sober as long as I am is because I was led to an amazing woman, Marsha Whitcomb and Joe Cotton. They ran the psychological center in Lawrence, Mass. And I did therapy for 10 years in conjunction to going to AA. And I know that there's a doctor who specifically says, you know, you have a 95% chance of staying clean and sober if you do therapy your first 5 years of recovery.
Yeah.
And I did 10. And that therapy was tough because I opened up Pandora's box and I just let everything out. And there were times where she didn't even have an appointment for me, and they just let me sit in the lobby because they knew I was safe and they knew I wasn't going to drink and they knew I wasn't going to hurt myself. So when I share my story, like, I always bring up them because I wouldn't have made it this far. I was 20.
Yeah.
20 years old.
Yeah.
Getting clean and sober. You know, and I know kids are doing it now because heroin took them down faster than alcohol took me down. But
yeah.
So it was a big part of my recovery. And then, you know, like my first 7 years of recovery was just like the cat's meow of, oh, I'm sponsoring people, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And then some of my behaviors started to come back from like 7 to 11 years. And lo and behold, 11 years sober, I'm suicidal again in sobriety, wanting to take my life. And throughout an intervention, it was brought up that, do you go to AA? I'm like, go all the time. And they're like, well, what about Big Book step study process? I'm like,
had you worked the steps?
Yes.
You
Oh,
had.
I did AWOLs. I did steps. Yes.
Yeah,
You would have
okay.
thought like, cat's meow, I got this covered. You know what I mean? And then in this intervention, they're asking me about Big Book Step Study, and I'm like,
Yeah.
back.
Right.
Those people, they're sick, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
And then, and lo and behold, they're like, well, that's where you need to go.
Mm.
And God is so funny about getting my attention that my very first meeting in Portsmouth at the Union Hall, this woman, Jane, was speaking. And she said, my name is Jane, and I was 11 years sober and suicidal, and I got thrown into Big Book Step Study. And just the floodgates went off. And I was like, and that's, God got my attention when I walked into AA when I was 20 years old to St. Monica's Church, 7 o'clock on a Sunday night. The gentleman from the podium shared my story. And I grabbed him by the throat afterwards because I'm mental, because you know how you're mental in early recovery. I go, did my therapist call you and tell you to say that? And he goes, no, kid, just keep coming, you know? So the same thing happened to me 11 years later in sobriety. And I met this most amazing woman. And I said, you know, will you be my sponsor? And she said, my only job is to put your hand into the hand of God, but I will walk you through this process. And she's still my sponsor, my best friend. She walked me through this process. And she really made me the true definition of a friend is someone who invests that much time in you. And she invested years in me because I took my time going through it. My life got colorful. But I finally completed it when I was 15 years sober. And I've been sponsoring women ever since then, only through the Big Book Step Study. So
I've never done a Big Book Step Study.
yeah, it's humbling.
Yeah.
And I think what humbled me the most was having to read my 5th step and having my behaviors be the behaviors that were in recovery. And that's what smacked me in the face, and that's what made me change. As a drunk, I could be like, oh, I'm sorry I did this. I was hammered. I'm sorry I stole your money. I was an addict.
Right.
Well, when you're sober and you're having behaviors that mimic someone who's actively using
Yeah.
the way that I think, dishonesty,
Yeah.
cheating, lying,
Yeah.
stealing, not money, but stealing time from people.
Yeah.
It was very humiliating to be 15 years sober and to have that stuff come out of my mouth. And that's where my shift happened. I never wanted to feel that again. I was humiliated, and that forever changed my life. So I did that, and then I was blessed to get involved. One of my life dreams was a woman's sober home.
Yeah. Which?
The Haven of Hope in Methuen, Mass.
Okay.
So I went complete full circle. All my arrests took place in Methuen. When I got sober, I left Methuen. I'm like, oh, I don't want anyone to know, like, I had a drinking problem. And my mother's like, well, you're in every paper, so they might know. So I used to go to Derry, New Hampshire for my meetings, just because I didn't want people to know about it.
Yeah.
And so I was blessed to go full circle. A sober home was opening in Methuen. It was all God shots happening. I was introduced to the owner. He was opening it because that's what was on his heart, but he had no idea how to run it. They weren't in recovery.
Right.
So I was their program director. I got
Wow.
them certified, and it was an amazing journey with them. And then after that, I was living on site because that's the way the house was ran. And then I got married, and I couldn't live there with my husband and 20 girls, so
Right.
I'm sure he wouldn't have minded, right? And then a job came open with Methuen Police Department,
Yeah.
and that's where my heart exploded, because these were the men and women who used to arrest me, and now I work for them and work with them. And I think that was like one of the greatest gifts that I had in my recovery, was to go completely full circle.
Wow.
So it's been an amazing journey.
So
Yeah.
what do you do exactly with the Methuen Police Department?
So I'm no longer with them.
Okay.
Yeah, I left them for another position.
Okay.
But when I was there, it was follow-up on overdoses.
Yep.
It was Section 35s. It was following cases all the way through from beginning to end, going to court,
Yep.
standing with the individuals, documenting their progress with the judges. I attended drug court, and I
Wow.
still actually am connected to the probation department. And I will be, actually might even want to speak there at the women's group on Wednesday evening. So next Wednesday I'm speaking with probation. So it was a lot. And what I liked about it was the fact that they don't have, you don't have to send an alcoholic and addict to jail. Like
Yeah.
that's not their problem. Their problem
Yeah.
is they're addicted.
Yeah.
So it was just a great way to show up and be present.
What I
So-
would have done to have an advocate like you,
Yeah.
I've been through drug court and
Yep.
the arrests and probation
Yeah.
and the, all of that, and just you must make such a to have that someone there must make such a difference for
Right.
those people.
So
know?
you and I have a mutual friend, right?
Yes.
So I has still continued to follow his case.
Yep.
And we went to court on Monday or Tuesday
Mhm.
this week, and he's a free man now.
Oh,
Charges
amazing.
dropped, and he can't stop thanking me. And I'm like, it's not me. Like, you thank God.
yeah.
Because this is everything I do is God given and God driven. This
Yeah.
isn't CPW doing a great job.
Yeah.
God saved me to serve,
Yeah.
not saved me to sit.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm so actively out there. And the other thing is I'm the president of MVP ASAP, and that's where I'm able to keep my connections with families and individuals that are struggling. MVP ASAP, we have, I think, a 14 board member. They're amazing men and women who are for the cause of education and prevention.
Mhm.
We want to meet individuals before they become us.
Yes.
We want to have that conversation of, this is what's going on with your brain, and
Yeah.
just having the dialogue and education.
that.
So prior to COVID,
Yeah.
we had 4 major events throughout the year.
Yeah.
All of the representatives or facilities would set up their tables.
Mhm.
We would have amazing speakers come in. We would have amazing events. And I just look forward to COVID being over
Yeah.
so that we can bring back MVP ASAP and the events with individuals. Yes.
I think I might want to try to get involved in the prevention side and in the
Yes.
youth and stuff. and-
Absolutely.
So yeah, there's definitely a reason that you came here tonight, and we got
Absolutely.
to connect again. So
Absolutely.
thank you so much for sharing with us and being
Thank
so
you.
open, telling
Yeah.
your story.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you want to say before
Just
you leave?
Thank you for having me. And if you're out there and you're listening, and if you're going through a rough time, reach out to me. You can find me on MVP ASAP Facebook. You can find me under Cole Welch-Caffrey Facebook, or you can call me at 603-205-4752. And that's not just the addict and the alcoholic, but if you're a family member and you need some guidance, please reach out to me, because where there's breath, there's hope. And I want to offer you hope for the addict and your loved ones. So thank you so much for having me this evening, and good luck to you and all that you do. And you're a huge asset to the recovery field as well. And I look forward to seeing where you go once you graduate. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, Cole. Thank you, everyone, for watching tonight, and we will see you next time.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.